Good morning, everyone. My name is Frances, and we are so glad that you are here with us today. Last week, I told you a story about Jesus being asked what the most important rule to follow is. Do you remember what Jesus said? To love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength, and to love your neighbor as yourself. That's right, good remembering. This week, we're going to hear another story about Jesus that takes place just after our story from last week. Jesus was at the temple with his disciples, watching the people give money to God's house. Some of that money would go to help the poor, and they saw many rich people giving lots of money to the temple. But then a poor woman came. Her husband had died, so she was a widow, and she took out 2 small coins. Jesus knew that these 2 coins were all that she had, and she put them into the collection box. Jesus told his disciples that woman gave all she has to God. The rich just gave their extra money, but she gave everything. Her gift is much more precious and beautiful than all of the money of the rich. Why do you think that Jesus said this woman's gift was so precious? The Bible reminds us to take care of others who need our help. It specifically points out people who don't have others to help care for them. A couple of years ago, my mother-in-law went on a trip to Israel and she brought me home a necklace. And the pendant of the necklace is actually a widow's mite. Thought I would share it with you today. And so when I wear this and I remember, it reminds me that being generous is important and that sometimes we can feel like we don't have much to give. Maybe we are in a season where we don't have a lot of money or a lot of extra food, or maybe we just don't have a lot of time or energy. But the widow gave out of what she had, and we can give out of what we have too, and God will bless it. And so wearing the necklace reminds me that being generous is good and kind, and that God loves it when we give gifts from our heart. Jesus tells us to love our neighbor as ourselves, and that everyone is our neighbor in the family of God. Part of the money given to the temple helped people like widows and orphans, and many places of worship use their collection to help people in their community. You might have noticed during the announcements that we talk about giving. Sometimes it's part of our regular or special offering, or to support a mission like when we did the run with refugees with Adam House, or it's something like the winter community outreach drive we have going on right now. Have you ever wondered why generosity is so important? Being generous with what we have, our time, our empathy, our money, our food, is just one way that we can actively love our neighbor. When we practice generosity, we are helping people to thrive. And we can be big helpers in our families and in our communities through generosity. And you can practice this in your home, in your school, in church, or your neighborhood. The widow in our story had only a very little bit of money and hardly any power, but she had a lot of love for God and for her neighbor. She was poor in money, but rich in love. When we give to people who have needs, we are loving and caring for them. God loves and cares for them, and we can trust that God loves and cares for us too. This week, think about some ways that you can love people in your community. God is kind and generous and always looking out for those who need help. May our hearts be filled with love for everyone around us, and may we be ready to help and share what we have so that all may thrive. That's all for me this week, kids. I'll see you next time.